Hi, everybody. It's Craig from Doc Sports, and we're back with Doc Sports Daily on Thursday, March 27th. And today is Sweet 16 kickoff of what I call the next weekend. I don't even know, Robert, if it's like the third weekend because they try to make the first round, like those playing games, like a round now. So I guess if you consider that, this is what, the fourth round?
Yeah.
Old school third round. When me and you started this, it was the third round. But exciting games today. I think you can make arguments, which is always what I like when you're better. I can make arguments on both sides. So I think you're going to see some good action. So I'm excited to talk that. But before I get to it, don't forget, hit that like and subscribe. And then also, if you want in on the best bets, go to docsports.com/free60 for all your new users. That'll get you free $60. And I got a special for you today. So if our production team could put this up, I got them to reactivate the 10% off plus 10. So PLUS 10, get you 10% off all the way through Sunday. So make sure you go in on that plus 10, get you 10% off. And I know I have a 7-unit play. Robert, I think someone whispered to me that you have a big play tonight, right?
I have a big daily prop play, actually a 7-unit and a 5-unit in the Florida Maryland game. I will have a 7-unit play tomorrow. I really like one of the games tomorrow, but no, not tonight. Just one 3-unit play. All
right, so like that free 60, so it's $30 per day per sport. Or you can, I believe the March Madness passes $75 now. They've reduced.
Yeah, they lowered it for the rest of the year. And don't forget, there's that other little sneaky tournament. I don't even remember the name of it.
The Crown.
Yes. There's another.
It must be at MGM.
Tournament.
It's either at MGM or one of their properties because I'm staying in New York, and I'm looking right across the Park GM out my window. And there's a huge banner right in the lobby of MGM. So maybe it's there. I don't know, or one of its properties because it was all advertised. So
yeah, so if you sign up for the rest of the season, you'll get all the Sweet 16 Elite 8 picks, get you through the Final Four. Not a ton.
That's Monday, right?
With the championship.
Monday, I think, right? It starts.
I'm sorry,
Monday.
say that again.
It starts Monday.
Yeah.
So it goes, I think, 5 straight days, right? It's like Monday, Tuesday. So they were smart. They didn't interfere with any of the Sweet 16, and it gets over before the Final Four. So it's like it kind of gives you basketball.
And it's a whole other tournament with its own matchups and buzzer beaters and change of paces. Like I bet the odds makers are going to hate having to handicap those games and put up numbers on those games because these teams also haven't played in weeks. So you get that kind of college bowl game effect also where like who's ready to play, who's not ready to play.
Out.
So it's going to make for some interesting handicapping.
Somebody sent me a text. I do not know if it's true. And it literally came right before I get on. So I could not replicate that. Kevin Willard has basically gave a verbal that he's going to Villanova.
He's been giving some odd statements over the last few weekends. Like I know Maryland fans are like, we haven't been to the Sweet 16 in forever. Can we just enjoy this? He's been really non-committal in his responses, but it would not surprise me, which I got to tell you is a little bit surprising. I understand that the Villanova job is a great job, but so is Maryland. So is Maryland. And he's kind of got it humming there. I don't know.
Somebody told me that they're basically not going to give him the resources, basically. And I guess that means NIL to me. Like, I don't think this is coaches and that. I think it means NIL. I'm guessing.
I mean, at Villanova, you're not going to have to compete with a football program.
Yeah.
So you'll have all of those resources. And I don't imagine that Villanova has a dearth of wealthy donors to tap into. So maybe it is.
And then the hidden thing about the Big East, no one's talking about really, UConn's leaving. Mm-hmm. It's not like they're getting anybody else. So like you lose what has been the best maybe program in all of college basketball the last 15 years. I mean, they've won 4 championships, right? 3 or 4?
2 that I can think of. But 4. Yeah, over the last 25 years, over the last 25, 30 years, yeah, they're around 4.
Hurley's won 2.
That's right. Ollie. That's right. Kemba Walker. Yeah. Yep.
Kevin Ollie won 1. And then, of course, Calhoun won 1. So, I mean, there's no one else in college basketball. I mean, that people would never guess that they've won 4 in this time period. So don't forget about that. But we'll talk more college hoops here. Like I said, $75. That is a deal from the Sweet 16 all the way through. So basically, you're gonna have 4 straight days here, then 5 next week, and then also have NIT in there, by the way, as well. So anybody that gives that NIT place. So make sure you check that out. If you rather just do the daily, it's $30. So make sure you get it. Okay. I didn't do something else. Oh, don't forget about the Premium Plus. You can get in on that. Doc Sports Premium Plus here at YouTube. All you got to do is click the link in the description. It's $49.99 a month. You'll get the Indian Cowboy for level 1 and then get the Premium Plus for level 2. So between the two of them, you get about 6 plays a day, which is for a month. That gives you about, I don't know, what's that? If you buy the individual, about $900 value instead of buying them at the website. So it's a good, at least sample to get you in and then see why you should buy the experts plays that we always advertise. Okay, let's talk NBA though, and then we'll get that out of the way. And like Robert and I could go hours when it comes to college hoops. So, anything you like in an NBA as a free play level?
No, no. I have a free play in baseball. I have college basketball, and I have a prop play. But didn't really love the board. There's some juicier games coming on this weekend. Took a look at Portland just because Sacramento, that's just not working right now in Sacramento. So maybe Portland. I only had one very, very small play that I liked out of the Eastern Conference today as my premium play. But nope. That's all you big guy.
These guys, they're going to the Big 12. So
that move is paused, but they're going to get it worked out.
Yep.
They will eventually. That's not a definite thing that Connecticut is going to the Big 12, but they're still in negotiations, and it's going to happen.
It's going to happen. It's how they're going to do the football is the holdup. It's not the basketball.
Well, but basketball, they're not going to be they're still going to be in the Big East this coming fall.
Yeah, but the problem with the football
2026.
No one wants to give them the equal payout because they're bad.
Yeah, right. And why should they?
So they're working out the details on how, how much of a share do they get? It's just like the ACC did with Stanford and them. They don't get full share. Because they're not as good as some of the teams, and Florida State wasn't giving up more money. You can guarantee that.
Just be happy to have a home.
Exactly. So UConn, because I guess Big East kind of made sense the ACC kind of made sense, but you had to have another school. They don't want the odd numbers, so it became a problem. So we'll see. We'll see what that happens. All right. I did like that game. Actually, that Blazers game was actually my free play. I actually think the Blazers are going to win this game. I was like, okay, who is out? I think it's more who's in for Sacramento. I'm guessing Sabonis is in. He's day-to-day, but, to me, the line says he's in because he's basically been day-to-day for 2 weeks. And every time they keep holding him out. But I'm guessing with this line, it means he's in. I don't care because the way this game's going to be up and down, if he has in great game shape, he's probably not playing extended minutes. If he is, probably, a little rusty. Portland's been money. Portland is the number 1 team as far as money earned since for the last 2 months. And it's not close. They were beating teams as 9-10 point underdogs. And then everybody still got on the ship. They still were covering. Haven't been unbelievable lately, 3-2. So 60%, that's still good. But so I'm taking the Blazers tonight. I just think they can play bad and lose by 5. You win. The Kings.
Well, what have you seen from the Kings lately to make you feel comfortable about them as a favorite? They've lost 8 out of the last 10. They've been bad over the last 3 weeks. They thought that when they cleared some people out at the trade deadline, made those moves, that it was going to, inject some life into this team. It hasn't worked. It hasn't happened. This looks like a team that is just waiting for the end.
Well, I want to say I never thought I'd be an analytical guy. I kind of thought teams would that phase would end. They're one of those teams that have not, they don't they shoot a ton of mid-range shots. You get DeMar DeRozan, that's what you do. And that does not work in today's NBA. It's just honest. The analytical guys have been proven right. The teams that do that are the better teams. The teams that are shooting mid-range shots, and we've seen it. Alabama, we're going to talk about it here in a little bit. Alabama, BYU, these are 2 NBA style, they believe. They do not shoot mid-range shots. They shoot layups or they shoot 3-pointers. They try to get to the foul line. Just like, the Warriors, Rockets did back when they had hard. So anyway, I think that's why I can't ever play the Kings. It's just they're trying to go against the grain in the NBA, and it has not worked.
They've had I will say, looking at their schedule, they have played an extraordinarily difficult schedule. Their last 2 losses were
playing in the West.
And Celtics. They lost to the Bucks before that. Cleveland, Memphis, at Phoenix, at Golden State. They played the Knicks and the Clippers. So, this is one of the first few step down games that they've had, but the only time in the last 2.5 weeks that they've played down is they played Chicago at home as a 7.5-point favorite, and they lost that game too.
Yep.
So again, they may win, they may cover, but I just don't know how anyone could feel confident here with them winning a game, much less beating a number as well. So.
The Bulls are playing good basketball. I like the Bulls a little bit tonight as well as a kind of a free lean. They got the Lakers. I mean, the Lakers get lucky and get that tip in. Otherwise, the sky would be falling.
Thank you, Jason Sharp. Jason Sharp says thank you for that tip. That was his game of the year.
Oh wow!
Last night was on the Lakers -1. So
that's one of them. Someone was like smiling down on him because that was.
Sometimes a push is a win. A push is a win in my book.
Great. So I don't know what is wrong with the Lakers. If it's just like they're kind of like maybe just trying to stay healthy, and I don't know.
They're not very good. They're not very good. Like we talked about this a few weeks ago when I was like, they are a team that I'm 100% looking to fade down the stretch because they're overvalued.
Magic though.
They're just not that good. Like the Luka magic wears off, and then the reality is you have a bunch of jumbled pieces that kind of sort of fit. They don't have anybody down low to rebound and protect the rim. You lose LeBron, so he loses that little bit of chemistry and cohesion that he was starting to build with Luka, which is so important because Luka left to his own devices. I mean, we saw how they played without LeBron. He reverted back to like pouty, bitchy, Dallas Luka, and they didn't play well. So anybody expecting like some deep run in the Western Conference and some run to the finals, I mean, maybe I'm wrong. It's LeBron James. He's done more with less, but I just don't see it with this group. It's still more hype than it is reality with the Lakers.
Well, he's done more with less, but he's also was a lot younger. It's like each year he gets older. Like that, putting on that backpack going to school, like there's a reason why, you want to get out of school when you're like younger. It's like at a certain point, you're like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to get up at 7 a.m. and listen to class. It's the same thing in the NBA. It's like, dude, he's put the work in. These guys are half his age. Like literally there's guys half his age playing against him. And he's still playing at a high level. I get it. I just don't know how much like he wants to put his mind through it because it's not on the offensive end. He's fine on the offensive end. Does he want to do this rebounding and defense? Because that is an attitude and it's a want to, and he doesn't always want to, it feels like at this point. So,
not for nothing, but even during his prime, he had playoff series where they got down or they were overmatched or you could tell that they were beat and he kind of quit. Like I'm not a LeBron hater. Like I'm not here to hate on LeBron. But we've seen that before, right? Like if they run up against Oklahoma City and they get down 2-0 and then they're down 18 points in a game 3, like, is he going to dig deep and lead them back? Like, no, he's going to be like, I got my rings. I'm good. Like, let's mail it in time. So I am not as high on the Lakers as the general public and just a lot of people in general. Not a big fan.
Well, I'm interested to see the Western Conference playoffs because, dude, they are jumbled up and it is going to matter. Like these losses, like that Orlando loss for the Lakers, the Warriors lost at,
Atlanta on Saturday.
These are games that, that don't seem that important because you're like, oh, they're still going to get in the playoffs. Dude, they're going to end up being a 6 seed instead of possibly a 4 seed. It's going to matter. Home court does matter, and I cannot wait. I mean, we also remember the Suns are the 10th seed. So, like, the Suns are going to have to try to win 2 games to get in, right? So it's like it's good drama. The NBA, I will say, they got to be loving this because – the last few years, it's been the Warriors and the Lakers that need it, that they're in the Suns position where it's like
needed help just to get there. Sure.
And they want Durant and them to because great ratings. Imagine if they end up being the 8th seed and they got to play Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City's like, dude, you don't want to face Durant and freaking.
I think they would love to face Durant. I think the Oklahoma City fans would love to face Durant and love.
They're going to pull the Tim Donaghy, put them in and be like, dude, make sure this goes 6 or 7 games.
Right.
We really need a 6 or 7 gamer. And, it's like, all of a sudden game 2, they lose at home by 10. It's like, the Suns shoots 60 free throws or something like Donaghy special. So, all right, but let's talk college hoops let's talk baseball first. I know you have a free play you said in baseball.
Opening day. Yeah. Opening day.
We're
I know you got the Sweet 16, but
usually it's the Monday of the historically was always the Monday of the national championship game. First day of April was opening day. I don't know why. Did they put something into the season or trying to end the season?
No, just trying to stretch it out as much as they can to get to work in some more days off and some more rest days. Also, they knew that they wanted to do the Tokyo series. I don't know why they wanted to do it so early. I don't know what the infrastructure looked like there. The decision making was behind that, but they also didn't want to have such a large gap between when they were playing that opening series in Tokyo. They didn't want to go like 3.5 weeks in between games. So, okay, my free play today though is, and this is a rare one. Like I'm trying to think back on how many times I've done this in my career. The answer is not many. I'm taking Cleveland plus 1.5. So I'm taking the plus run line, which I swear to God in 20 years, I bet I've done maybe 5 times, right? But I just like it. Take Cleveland, take the Indians plus 1.5, minus 145 against Kansas City. I am not high on Kansas City this year at all. Cleveland is a team that's given them a lot of problems. I like the fact that you're getting extra runs in a game that could be lower scoring, not exactly two dynamic offenses that we're dealing with. And you're laying less than minus 150. And I know that Cole Ragans is a guy that is getting a lot of Cy Young buzz. He's great. I have no beef with the man. He has been awful this spring. And this bet comes down to one of those things where it's like, how much stock do you put in that, right? Like some guys are testing out. Yep. I understand the theories for and against taking spring training statistics and trying to carry them over into the regular season. But he was really bad, okay? 18 innings. He had an 8.20 ERA. He gave up 32 hits in 18 innings. Opposing batters were hitting 386 against him, and his whip was over 2. Those are red flags. Those aren't just guy is working on some stuff and just kind of screwing around. Like that is guy is getting lit up. And I just don't know if he's, it's a long season. He could still win 18, 19 games, but is he going to be completely sharp today against an Indians team that just doesn't really go away? So I say take the plus 1.5 with Ben Lively in the Indians.
The Indians are really like, I'm kind of like, I don't know if I'm buyer or seller on the Indians this year. Last year, it was kind of one of the teams I kind of made a lot of money with, spot play. You obviously don't play everybody every day, but it was one of those teams that just did really well. Arizona was one of those teams last year that did really well for me. But this year, I kind of feel like, I don't know about that bullpen. Is the bullpen going to be as good? That's the key. If their bullpen's as good as it was last year, they're going to win their division most likely. I mean, like that's going to be their key. And I don't know. I always worry about.
No, this is the year that everybody stays healthy on the Twins, man. This is the year that the Twins finally play as well as everybody thinks they are. Just kidding. They're going to go 500 again.
I would say the one hidden gem I would always tell people say, what's your key on baseball betting? First 5 innings. Play more first 5 innings than you did last year. You're probably going to do well because it's easier to handicap because you're pretty much just handicapping the starters.
Starting pitchers.
Like that's the key. Because once you get, and you have to really dig in, okay, who pitched last night? How many innings did, it has the, their key reliever pitched 2 of the last 3 games. Like, probably not available tonight, unless emergency type stuff. So you have to dig in a lot more information. And for the average bettor, they don't have time. Now, granted, that's why you guys use us and you buy our plays. So we're digging into that. But if you don't do that, I would say look at the first 5 innings more often than you did last year. That doesn't mean you go that's all you do, but I'm just saying you sprinkle in a few more of those and you sprinkle in a few more underdogs. And I know a lot of people don't like that because they would rather go mentally, they'd rather go 7-3, even though they lost money because they played heavy favorites and they lost, then go 4-6 and actually have a really nice ROI because they had 3 underdogs of those 4 winners. But you got to play some underdogs. You should be playing 35 to 40% of underdogs. And I know that's really hard as the baseball season progresses, as the lines, the disparity between the good and bad teams gets bigger.
Well, or you like those favorites. Don't be afraid of those run lines.
Yeah, run line or
down. I know people don't hit like they used to. So the discrepancy in the scores is not what it used to be, but you're still getting excellent plus money value on that. And in a way, it's like hockey betting where you can't be afraid to sneak in some of those goal line bets. But I feel like with baseball, it's a lot easier for a team to win by multiple runs than it is for a hockey team to win by multiple goals. I mean, look, we see plenty of 4-1 games and 5-0 games. It doesn't have to be a softball match for you to cover that run line. So if if you're squeamish about those underdogs, don't be afraid. And you're a pure favorite better. Just don't be afraid to sprinkle in some of those run lines. And one of the things I like to do is do that manufactured -1 run line where you bet the favorite for say 3 units and you bet the run line for 2 units. And if they win by 1, you still show a small profit or break even there. And if they win and you cover the run line and that, it's a big bet. So there's a lot of different ways in baseball for you to be able to manipulate the money lines in your favor.
There's 2 bets that I've been doing more this year than I've ever done before, and I plan on it. Is you have the college or the win in regulation for hockey. That is extra, because you could take a -190, turn into -130. Now, granted, if it goes overtime, you lose, but that's why you're getting it. If you do that over the time, I feel like you're going to win. The other one is the like if you're playing the home team, they don't bat in the 9th inning as well, which means they have to win in basically regulation. So if you haven't bet that, you could find it usually on the alternate bets if you open up the game at your sports book. So it's a nice little hidden feature if you like a favorite that's at home. It's like the no bat 9th inning. That's what I think it's called. No bat 9th inning. Yeah, that's what it's called. That's a really hidden bet. That means that you're playing you can play it on the underdog too if they're at home, by the way. But it's usually on a favorite. So now it's kind of like the win in regulation for hockey a little bit. All right. I need to give out an MLB play. So sorry. I kind of like this Red Sox team, I'm sorry, not Red Sox, Braves. I see Sale and I think Red Sox, but I like this Braves team. I think the Braves were really banged up last year. So whatever they did last year, it was like with 2 hands behind their back at times, or 1.5 at times. I think this is going to be a team that has a pretty big bounce back year. I think the Mets in their division are going to come back a little bit. I don't think the Phillies are going to be as good this year as well. I think the Braves are going to be the beneficiary. I think they have a nice opening game here. You're only having to lay with Sale -125. I like when he's fresh too. At his age, he's just not a guy that I want to be like, okay, he's going every 5 days for five starts in a row. I like it when he gets some extended rest. Obviously, this is a good push. So let's take the Braves in this one. I think it's a good play. My second best play of the day. And the best one was a 5-unit play. So
I think I'm gonna wish I had released that Braves game. I'm kind of with you. I don't really understand why they're not starting Dylan Cease today. I don't understand why they're going with.
I never understand the starting pitchers. I don't know if there's some more politics inside the clubhouse. Because
it doesn't make any sense. Like Cease is the better pitcher, and he's been awesome this spring. So lead with your best bunch. But I mean, this is the Padres just kind of being the Padres too. So yeah, I mean, no Acuna back yet. Acuna won't be back till May, but everybody else is healthy with that in that Braves lineup. And not only were they real banged up, guys had some really down years, like some uncharacteristically poor years last year for the Braves. So regression should help them out. And let me be the first to tell you, Mets fan here, don't buy into the Mets. Don't buy into the Mets this year. Like we've seen this so many times with the Mets. Like don't buy into the hype with this team. They're still going to be in the 82 to 88 win range if it's a good season. That's if they don't completely melt down and just Mets it up. But the idea that they're somehow going to win 96 or 98 games and win the East this year, it's not going to happen. It's not realistic.
Guys that go get the big free agent splash too, it's a lot of times doesn't work year one to what the extent they want. Mm-hmm. You're not getting I don't care what year he puts up. You're not getting that money of what you're paying. You could go put 4 guys together at that money and they would actually have way better stats than that.
Happened with Lindor. They signed Lindor to that monster contract and he stunk his first year. And they were terrible the first year. So
Ohtani's the only guy that you could say has lived up to and he's making crazy money.
He's a mutant.
Like that's just different. I don't see that for Soto. Like it's
an awful contract. It's an awful contract.
I mean, I know you're bidding with the market, so it's like but at some point they were really just bidding against themselves. Because the Yankees, I felt like we're just going to keep bidding it up because we know this guy's got unlimited money basically, and he's just going to outbid us. If we just keep going up, he's going to go up, go up, go up. Now they're going to be stuck. Because he's not going to want to just keep giving everybody that kind of money. So it's interesting opening day. I always say, remember, it's one day. Don't go crazy. I know I've gotten the emails, the texts from my customers before, and they'll be like, yeah, I lost early, played the middle game, lost that. Oh, I played the late game, lost that. It's like, dude, you turned what you only liked one game One of those three, and you went 0-3, and now you're like behind the 8 ball. Like,
don't worry, buddy. That's one of 200 days. Yeah. They play 162 games, but we have about 200 straight days of baseball minus the All-Star break. So pace yourself there, guys.
So that the season pass, how much is that? I meant to mention that.
I believe it's $750.
$750 or something like that. It's in the
$750 for 7 months.
Yeah,
basically.
And like you just said, it's
either $699 or $750, but it's for 7 months. It's definitely like 200 straight days. Like, it's definitely the best value of the site. But more importantly, and something to talk about a lot on these Docs Dailies, is the 3-for-1 people. The 3-for-1 is the best deal. If you sign up for a package, say a monthly or a full seasons package at Docs, you get 3-for-1. So you can sign up for my package. But you don't know me. You don't know about my style. You don't know if this jives with me. So you can take Craig's package as well. And I don't know, Jason Sharp, he's won 4 straight years. You can try all 3 of our services for the first 2 weeks. You get those 2 extra guys for free for 2 weeks and be like, you know what? I like Jason Sharp's 1 play a day style, or I love my, 8 or 10 play a day style. You get to find the guy that kind of fits with you. So make sure you are taking advantage of that 3-for-1. It really is a great way for you to get a sense of
is that in the members area when they log in?
Oh yeah.
So make sure you look for it under the members area. Once you got to log in first, but once you log in, then it, as you scroll down to the grid and everything, you'll see it there. So make sure you take advantage of that. Okay, now let's talk what everybody wants. So we didn't leave that much time, but we'll talk a little extra. I know Robert.
We got time. We can go over. They're here. They love it.
I'm in Vegas, so here's my view outside of our Park MGM. So it's been an unbelievable week here. If you didn't check it out, make sure you check out our social media. We had a really big. We went to Stadium Swim with a bunch of Griffin, the other Docs Daily guys, and then one of our behind the scenes customer service guys. If you call the office, you're going to get him. And we went out and partied up and hit like a ridiculous parlay. Paid for the whole. If you've been to Stadium Swim, when you're paying for it's like $2,000 or $3,000 for drinks and a cabana. So paid for everything and then some. So make sure you check that out. But let's talk college hoops. Sweet 16. I think this is the better of the 2 days. Slightly. I like all 8 games, really, to be honest. But I thought slightly this was better because I think you can make an argument for some of these underdogs, which is nice. Do you think there's a little hidden gem here for free play for our guys?
I'm not sure if it's a hidden gem, but it's the one that I like. I only released 1 rated play. That's in the Maryland-Florida game as well. But the other game that I was like, I wrote it up and I'm like, it's on my card, it's off my card. It's on my card, it's off my card. And eventually I went without it. And that's, I kind of like Texas Tech. I know that Arkansas is the highest rated, the lowest seed, highest seed, however you want to say it, left in the tournament. They're riding high off their 2 big upsets last week. But let's be kind of realistic. They played very well last weekend. I'm not taking anything away from Arkansas, and I cashed in with them against St. John's. I knew St. John's wasn't making out of the opening weekend. However, Kansas and St. John's were both very flawed teams, okay? Kansas has been a mess for a month. St. John's can't shoot. Texas Tech doesn't really have those types of weaknesses. They should be getting, Chance McMillan back. They haven't announced it yet, but from what I'm seeing and hearing is that he will be able to play. Remember, Texas Tech played the late end of the regular season and into the Big 12 tournament without 2 of their starters, and they still played pretty well. This is a team that's been very good. Blew out Arizona, beat Houston, which, takes more than a smile. And at the end of the day, this game comes down to youth versus experience. Arkansas, 3 freshmen, couple of sophomores, not used to being in this place. Texas Tech, they got depth and experience for days, and I just kind of trust their veterans a little more than I do Arkansas to keep up the rate and the pace of play that they were able to last weekend. So I think the public is on Arkansas in this one. That's why we're seeing the number kind of waffle the way that it has, but I will take Texas Tech. They're either going to lose outright or they're going to win by probably 8 to 12 points. I think they're the better team, so I have no problem laying it.
Arkansas is such a hard team because injuries this year. And let's be honest, John Calipari is not the greatest X's and O coach. He's had more talent than anybody in college basketball for 18 years now. I mean, going back to the Memphis team with Derrick Rose, I mean, that team was loaded, and they pissed away that championship game. I mean, like, it didn't foul at the end, or they win the game. But I did say, like, he did kind of pull the right strings this tournament so far. But I don't know. Like, the one thing I always say is whoever has the best player usually should be favored and probably wins more often than not this time of year. You know, you need that one player. Well, if you don't know, the Toppin kid is the best player. He was the player of the year in the conference. Like, and he transferred from New Mexico, so I think a lot of people don't really, they kind of, you know, they think he came from nowhere. He didn't really. He was really good there. So I don't know.
I like their point guard, Elijah Hawkins. If you haven't seen him, really fast, really quick, really controls the game. I think he's going to bother Wagner and Boogie Flan, two really talented young players, freshman and sophomore there. But I like Hawkins. Kerwin Walton, you know, transfer from North Carolina where he didn't really do much. He's a senior now. He's just a veteran guard. They just have three really good guards if McMillan plays. And like I said, I like the experience. And one other thing real quick. At this point in the NCAA tournament, I'm not a big fan of betting teams that you don't think can win outright, even if it seems like a lot of points. You have to think that this team can win. You don't just take Arkansas because you're like, 5.5 is too many points. No, you need to feel like they can win the game. And this goes with the Arizona Duke game. This goes with the Auburn game tomorrow. This goes with Maryland, Florida game, right? Popular game right now. If you don't think Maryland can win, you don't just take the points. Like, this time of the year, it's better to go with who you think is going to win in advance than, you know, kind of sweat the numbers.
Well, we had Raphael on yesterday, and we asked him about two games that are happening today. The Duke game, which he thought might possibly here in Vegas, there could be some numbers that pop into the tens, which is freaking just crazy. That in the Sweet 16, you kind of get that. But that's how good they've been playing. I mean, even when Cooper Flag was down, they still were covering the numbers. I mean, it's the one question about Duke, and we really don't know, is they didn't play the greatest, like, because the ACC was so bad. Their schedule really wasn't that good. I mean, they lost to Kentucky. They lost to Auburn, right? That was so like
they beat Auburn, but that game was at home.
What was the other team they lost? It was Kentucky, and then
was it Kansas? I think they lost to Kansas.
It was Kansas. So, like, of the tournament teams, they actually, you know, some of their losses there. So I don't know. Like, that game worries the shit out of me. I just can't lay.
They also went on the road and killed Arizona the first time that they played them too.
I think actually would benefit if you want an argument for taking Arizona with the points. Is like, dude, they got revenge. Duke's probably like, hey, we don't even need to. We just got to give our best, you know, like our A minus game, B plus game, and we're going to win this game. Love is the 100% always with Arizona. That dude's going to shoot them into the game or shoot them out of the game. And they don't really have anybody else that they can go get them what they probably need to win. He probably needs to go for 25 plus tonight. And the way he plays, you have to give him that freedom, because if you put the reins on this guy, it's just not the type of player he is. So I'm interested to see that game, not betting that game. The other game we asked him about was the BYU game, which I'm going to give a free play out on that. We asked about the total, 175.5. He thought this total might get to 178, 179 because he had, I think he said MGM, 85% of the wagers were, and this is as of yesterday, had come in on the over. So I think this is, he said, the second highest total in the NCAA tournament team going back to like early 2000s. So I kind of like the over just because of it. I mean, it's like when it's this high, you get that much, it's like they just basically can't put it high enough for me. Now, my free play on this, though, I like BYU. I think BYU is going to win. I think they're basically the same team. Like they play that NBA style, the analytical style that we talked about, where they're shooting layups. When BYU got good at the end of the year, what did they do? They actually weren't great on defense. They just were good in the last few minutes of the game. Can they stay close enough to Alabama, which I think they can, that in the last 2 or 3 minutes they can get 1 or 2 key stops? And I don't think this is as good as Alabama team was last year. I just don't think so. And I'm going to bet against them. So I'm kind of like you, though. I think they either probably win this game or they maybe don't just cover. It's like, I think they kind of need to win it.
I agree with you about Alabama. Like you and I have been kind of in lockstep about this down the stretch, real hesitant about them. I did hit with them last weekend, but I've kind of kept arm's length because I just don't feel it from them. And, BYU early in the season were a disappointment. This was a team that I was really hot on. I remember texting Max, the guy who does it for Doc Sports, saying, I will use one of my 8-unit game of the – this was in November. I was like, I'm going to use one of my 8-unit game of the years on BYU this year. I know I'm going to. Then they came out, they lost to Ole Miss, they got worked over at Providence because they were soft. They were just a really, really soft team. But they've kind of changed that, which you don't really see teams do mid-season, right? Like you go on the road and win at Iowa State, you go on the road and win against a very physical Arizona team, you can play. Okay, like they have shown a level of a little bit of toughness and physicality that they didn't show at the beginning of the season. I still have my doubts when it comes to Alabama in that exact same regard. And I agree with you. They're kind of mirror images of themselves. I don't know. I'm not in a hurry to bet against Alabama just because when you talk about the similar styles, Alabama's been doing this. They want to play at this pace. Yep. They're going to feel comfortable. Nothing BYU is going to do is going to make them uncomfortable. But there's just something about this Bama team that I still just really don't trust.
It's going to be a fun game to watch. I don't know. I didn't look at the prop. I'm going to probably bet it today. The over threes made in this game because, these two are going to shoot. I bet in the first 5 minutes they shoot like 33s between the two of them. And they shoot at a pretty decent clip. Both of these teams are good shooting teams. I love that Saunders kid from BYU. I just think he's tough. And as this season has progressed, he's taken that leadership role a little bit more. Like you can just see. And, man, they're just coming together. The Keita kid, the big kid, he's a monster.
That's what I was going to say. Keita and Traore, like they have to at least play equal to Alabama's forwards. They've been playing really well, and that was one of the things that they changed late in the season is they started working their offense a little bit inside out, at least dumping it in a lot more often and trying to get to the basket more often. They need Traore and they need Keita to play even with Alabama's forwards. If Alabama's front court outplays them, and that's not even the strength of Alabama, but if they outplay BYU's front court, then this one will get ugly. But to your point, you need the guys on the interior to play equal, okay? And then let's let it come down to the guards in the last 4 minutes, and then I think BYU has a chance.
The one thing that always worries me, and I think they don't play Keita down the stretch, is because he's such a bad foul shooter.
Yeah.
And it's like, he is a beast on the offensive rebound, and they get, the best threes always off the rebounds, kicking it back out. And you almost can't play him because, if he gets fouled, it's lucky if he freaking makes one or two down the stretch. So to me, that's like, can they keep him in the game and then and he doesn't have to shoot free throws? Because and Alabama is a great offensive rebounding team too. Like you have to keep them from the second shots. If they get second shots, like the way they shoot at the clip is, and they're undersized, so you don't think they'd be a great, but because it's such long rebounds, they chase down so many long offensive rebounds. They'll get 3 offensive rebounds in a possession sometimes. And it's like, dude, you're just going to get killed.
Well, big key too is where's Grant Nelson at? He wasn't super healthy last weekend, but he played and he played pretty well. If he's back to full strength, you got him, you got Omayure, you got some guys. And this is also where does experience kick in for Alabama? That's why, my side, I wrote this up as Alabama and then pulled it because with you, I'm looking at what BYU has done over the last few weeks. I didn't feel strongly about it. But does experience kick in? Does experience matter if this is a close game?
Well, Alabama has the experience in the tournament, but just like every BYU team in any sport, they're like 26.
They're 30-year-old men. Yeah.
So they do have a lot of experience as far as they have a lot of fourth year, and they get like guys on 6 years because they take like a sabbatical a year to go. So it's like just their whole program, the whole campus. It's just a more mature university than you get at other universities, and it shows when you watch BYU. Late in seasons, they just have a lot of experience on all their teams. Doesn't matter what sport you're talking about. So, I do want to at least mention the late game here, because to me, this Duke Arizona game is so interesting. Like, I just think you have to take Arizona. I know there is nobody out here. Like, we were at Stadium Sim, everybody like Duke, we're parlaying Duke with everything. I'm like, oh, the more I hear that when like the Joe Public is coming up and introducing themselves, like, hey,
you want to bet against them just out of spite, right?
I'm like, dude, if everybody's betting this and Vegas didn't get rich by losing, like, when 80% of the bets are on one, it's almost always the whitewash game of the night.
Don't do it. Listen, I hear you, but don't do it. There's just no upside in betting against Duke right now. And again, I'm going to go back to the stat that I talked about at the beginning of the NCAA tournament, okay? And this isn't like a trend you can follow wholeheartedly, right? Because it's about who wins the national championship. So we're not going to know that for another few weeks who the national champion is. However, over the last 10 years, the eventual national champion, the team that wins the national championship, they went 51-9 against the spread in the NCAA tournament. Over the last 12 years, it's 58-14. That's 81%. Over the last 22 years, the eventual national champion, if you look back at how they did in the tournament, they are 108-24 against the spread. That is 82% over 22 years. Now, we don't know who's going to win the national championship, right? But it may be Duke. How they do in their first two games against those big numbers? They cover the spread, they cover the spread. So this is the type of thing. I mean, look at Connecticut the last 2 years. They won the championship, steamrolled everybody. They came back and were the favorite. They were a monster favorite. They were like 12.5-point favorites in the Sweet 16 last year. Cover the spread. 6-0 against the spread, 6-0 against the spread. I think Duke can win the national championship. Therefore, I'm absolutely not betting against them at all, because I think if they do win it, I think they're going to cover, if not every game, 5 out of 6, because over the last 10, 15, 22 years, that's what the national champion has done. So I get it. It's a lot of points. I like Arizona too, but for me, there's just no upside in betting against Duke right now.
All right, so here's the odds right now. So you tell me this. This is to win the national championship. Duke's plus 210, Florida's plus 350, Houston plus 500, Auburn plus 550. All the other teams are 1,700 or more. Is there somebody outside of those four that are like,
no.
What do you call the odds on that you feel any close?
No, 100% no. And there's no way I'd bet Duke at plus 210, or who is the second one that was plus 350? Probably Auburn.
No, Florida.
Florida, yeah, no, that's
I think
ridiculous.
Florida should be the favorite, to be honest. I really think this should be flipped. Florida should.
But this is like I always say, like these are sucker bets. Like you're betting Duke basically on a 4-team parlay. They got to win 4 straight games. I know they'll be favored in probably all of those games, but still, your payout on a 4-team parlay should be better than plus 210 to get them to win those games. Like Florida, you cannot tell me that you would be stunned if Florida lost tonight. I don't think they're going to lose. I think they're better than Maryland. I think they're going to play better than they did last weekend. But looking back on that stat that I gave you, they did go 0-2 against the spread last weekend, so maybe they're leaking a little bit of oil. But you wouldn't be stunned, and neither would I, if Maryland beat them tonight. Well, so you're going to bet them and only get like 3-1 on a payout for them beating. They'd have to beat Maryland, whoever they play in the Elite Eight. They'd have to beat Auburn, and then they'd have to beat Duke. Like,
I asked
10-1 at least on that.
I said, Raphael, it's going to be Duke. Let's just say it's Duke and Florida. What's the line? And he said probably Duke minus 2.5.
Yeah, 3.5. Yep.
And I'm like, so really, Florida should actually be getting more money than like at plus 350. I mean, if you look at that, because if you just wait to the game, you know what? You're going to get like plus 130 or something.
Right, and they'll probably be underdogs against Auburn also, depending on how they do this weekend. If Auburn rolls Michigan State, they will be favored over Florida, and vice versa. If Auburn struggles a little bit, if Florida looks great in these 2 games, like how these teams play over the next week is going to determine what that value is. But yeah, like it's a joke to think about betting Florida to win the national championship, even as close as they are, for anything less than 8, 9, 10-1 on your money. But that's why these are kind of sucker bets for people.
To me, the one team that I just like, I would like to put a future on, but I'm not going to, is Michigan. Like, they play such a funky style that, like, basically, unless you're in the Big Ten that you face them this year, you don't face teams like this anymore. Like the 2 big men, you kind of playing not just a 3-point shooting team. They're really good on defense. I mean, May has been a master in the NCAA tournament since the FAU run. I kind of think, like, dude, they're like, I would not want to play them if I'm a coach. Now, at least you get a couple of days to prepare if you're playing them, tomorrow. But
watching Wolf and their other big man whose name is escaping me, watching 2 7-footers run the pick and roll together is hilarious. Yeah. But they're really good at it. Like they're really, really good at it. So, I mean, I think here's the problem with that, though. Auburn has had time to prepare. And for Auburn, it's all about health, right? Is Baker Mazzara back to 100%? Is Caldwell back to 100%? So those guys didn't play the last 5 minutes of their last game. Where are they at? They have had time to prepare for Michigan. This is where it's a tough draw for Michigan. Because I agree with you. They are a very difficult team to prepare for. But if they do beat Auburn, if they pull that upset, Michigan State's probably waiting for them.
Yeah, they beat them twice.
There's nothing that Michigan's going to have that Michigan State hasn't already seen.
Killed them twice.
Right. So it's kind of a difficult matchup where if they do play them, I think Michigan will be a very live underdog in that game, to the point of tough to beat a team 3 times, tough to beat your rival 3 times. Yeah. Michigan State will be a big favorite in that game, I think. But yeah, it's just a tough kind of draw for them. Just like it's kind of a tough draw for Purdue. I'd like to see Purdue playing anybody. We'll talk about this more tomorrow, but I'd like to see Purdue playing anybody but Houston with the way that they're playing right now. Like Purdue is a really tough matchup, but Houston's so good defensively. It's just wrong team, wrong time for the Boilermakers.
I would have loved to see Houston play like BYU, or okay, the highest octane versus like what happens. Obviously, we saw it in the regular season, but like in the tournament, all things on the line. I can't wait. I can't wait for. I love this weekend's games, or these games today and tomorrow. But I think you're going to have some really good matchups potentially for the next round to talk about. And then, man, if we get the big 4 that everybody thinks, that everybody's just like, oh, these big 4, obviously we read the odds off. They are really big favorites to win all 4 of the regions. It's going to be knockdown, drag out. I really feel like anybody can win. Like
I kind of agree with you about the Elite 8. There's 2 games that, like, if this region goes the way I think it is, I will probably have an 8-unit game of the year this weekend. If I get the matchup that I want, and I think I will, that's a potential out there. But it's a madness. You never know.
I always want to have a team like, okay, and then I'm kind of like, saying, okay, I think if these 2 teams plays, it's going to be this number, and then the team wins but plays really poorly. So then you get like the value,
that's extra value, right?
I'm always like that's like the so it's it should be 4. Well, they played terrible, so it's 2.5. Now I'm like, okay, now they only got to win by 3 points. That's a much better play,
right? But then you also start second guessing yourself. You're like, oh man, but they didn't play well, like blah blah blah. Yeah, that's the fun of being a handicapper this time of year.
Yeah, that's you got to have making the opinion with and then backing it up with kind of like the analytics and what our eye test kind of thing. So super excited. We'll be back again tomorrow. The 2 of us. We'll probably have Griffin tomorrow. Those 2 guys were on flights out of here this morning. Nick's he's one of the Dodgers games. If you go to the Dodgers game today, look for Nick Menken on the sideline. I think he's going to have pretty good tickets too, so you might even see him on TV.
Buy him a beer.
All right, so don't forget tonight, you can get on. I do have a 7-unit play. Robert has a few smaller plays, but you're going to have big play tomorrow. So if you get on, you can get the March Madness pass, $75 all the way through the national championship. That includes all postseason games now too. So and we'll include the Crown, the NIT. Do we have the CBI this year?
Is that done?
Is that ended yesterday, or is it? There might be one more game.
I don't know. Like when those little tournaments get to their little Final Fours and stuff like that, I'm usually out. When they get to their,
I know I see all the plays from all the cappers, so I every once in a while I'll see that they have a play in it. So if it's not, it doesn't matter. Any college basketball play from now through the national championship game, $75, or it's $30 a day. So make sure you check that out and use that promo code +10 to get 10% off. That will work on the March Madness pass as well, by the way, or the $30 day pass. So make sure you check that out. All right, guys. Thanks again, Robert. We'll see you again tomorrow. I hope all your bets are winning ones. Don't forget, hit that like and subscribe button. And, click on the when you go to the channel, all the videos, because we've got all the March Madness games covered if you like. Good luck.